Coming to you live from WRUE, Tennessee. It's the Scribbling Woman.
Hi, I'm Nancy Rue. I am a scribbling woman, and so are you. And that's why we're having this conversation. Here, we talk about the writerly life that is unique to you, no matter your age, your season, or where you are in your creative journey. You are now an official Scribbly, so let's chat. You know, in the interest of continuing this series about respecting yourself as a writer and holding your writerly life in high regard, it only makes sense that we delve into an aspect that until recent years was not deemed worthy of that respect, and wrongfully so. And to help us in that discussion today, we have a guest. Jim, will you do the honors?
From Southern Oregon, it's Cheri LaSota.
Did anyone ever make Southern Oregon sound so amazing? And so are you, Cheri. You are the perfect person to have with us today. Cheri is an author in her own right. I just finished reading Echoes in the Glass, which is a YA novel, and is Cheri's homage to the Oregon coast, and is also a beautiful exploration of human nature, especially in terms of forgiveness. She's written a number of novels, which you can find at CheriLaSota.com, and they include historical fantasy, which is a genre unto itself, sci-fi, and nonfiction. More to the point for today's conversation, though, Cheri is the founder, CEO, director, and amazing center of authorsassembler.com, where she formats books, designs covers, creates 3D characters, and she certainly has been my saving grace in self-publishing my own novel. So, Cheri, thanks for being here to share your wisdom with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Cheri, first of all, tell us a little bit about why you came to indie publishing yourself.
Yeah, I had a traditional deal on the table many years ago, and I was doing a lot of research on self-publishing at the time and trying to decide which direction I wanted to go. And I realized that I really wanted to learn every aspect of the writing process, from cover design to formatting to the publishing process itself. And I realized I would have more opportunities to do that if I was self-published as opposed to traditional. And in addition, I really was worried about making sure that I understood the contracts for traditional publishing. And there's so many ins and outs to that, and so much that could go wrong if I didn't understand what I was doing. And so I think all of that combined really pushed me to go the indie route, and I've never looked back since. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, those of us who have availed ourselves of your services are grateful for that, because you're incredibly good at the entire thing. And I remember quaking in my little pumps and you holding my hand. And so again, you are the person to be talking with us today. So, Cheri, what are the benefits really of self-publishing?
The two biggest ones I find, and actually I think most indie authors would agree, is flexibility and control.
Okay.
You do control every aspect of your career, and however much you want to. You don't have to be in charge of every part of it. You can hire out the things that you don't want to do or don't currently have the skill to do, or whatever that might be. And then there's also the flexibility. You can change your blurb, you can change your cover design, you can change your pricing in a day. You can do it within, like you could change your price every couple of hours if you wanted to. I don't know. But yeah, the flexibility for all of the aspects of your career is really, it can make or break a career depending on the choices that you do make. I've seen it time and time again where you can really have great success if you are paying attention to the marketing trends, the way the new avenues coming out for marketing and advertising, writing a good book. There's so many aspects to it. It can be a little overwhelming, but having the control to make quick changes is priceless. And then secondly, there's a massive community of support that is here for you. It's one of the few industries where that does happen. We collectively want you to succeed, and your colleagues and your friends in the industry want you to succeed as well. So it's this amazing, like there's basically a lot of mentoring that goes on as part of it. You'll have access to beta readers, massive fans who are just like itching to get your latest novel and want it to be successful with you. And of course, there's also indie author services that are available on all aspects of your career if you need that. So there's a lot of benefits to the indie route.
And that sense of community eliminates the competition that you often find in traditional publishing, because there are just so many slots and everybody's vying for those. And even when you're with a group of published authors, the surface is always, I'm so interested in what you're doing, but there's still that, is she doing better than I am? Is she getting more attention from the marketing people? And you are right that this self-publishing community is incredibly supportive, and there's room for everyone. I think that's really the beauty of it. So what about the drawbacks? There are some. What would you say those are?
Yes, and really one of the biggest drawbacks, or one of the biggest problem areas that you could run into, is just cash flow, especially beginning. If you don't have, or if you're not a trust fund baby to start out with, and you don't have a lot to start out with, you may need to wait a bit. You may need to hold on to your day job for a while. For example, like, well, the traditional advice is make sure you have 6 months of living expenses saved up, right? That is definitely true for this industry. You want to make sure you've got some buffer in case some crazy stuff happens. You just never know with this particular industry. Any number of things can happen, good and bad. And being able to roll with the punches is a huge part of just the way you've got to run your business. You've got to assume that some things can go wrong and take steps to make sure that you're protecting yourself. And of course, it's needed. It's needed for marketing, advertising, attending book conferences or book fairs. It may be that you need to pay for cover design or book formatting or editing, all kinds of things. So it's needed all the way through. And if you don't have anything to start out with, you may need to wait a bit until you save up so you can buy that next cover, or get that next editing pass, or whatever it happens to be. Another thing is time. Now, obviously, writing itself takes a lot of time, just in and of itself. But there's also just the aspect of running your own business. There's the accounting, the business licenses, the learning all of the aspects and actually managing all of that, and managing your marketing and advertising campaigns. All of that takes time away from the actual writing itself. So it can kind of gouge a hole out of your writing time if you're not careful to prioritize. That's why you'll often see writers writing their morning pages. They'll start out writing at the start of the day, and then they tackle the rest of the writing business in the afternoon hours. That may be the case with you too, Nancy. Do you do that? Do you write morning pages?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The creative, you have to figure out when is your creative time and when is your business time. And currently, actually, I'm taking this entire next month to focus on promotion. Because when my book first launched, I was just sort of, hey, everybody, here it is. And so now I'm delving into that more deeply, because I saw that as one of the drawbacks. You have to do your own marketing. For some people, that sounds delicious. For a lot of writers, that is not the happy part. How would you address that, Cheri?
Yes, marketing can be very terrifying at first. And really it boils down to deciding the kind of person you are. What do you naturally gravitate to? Of all the things you could be doing in your writing career, learning formatting, learning cover design, learning the craft of writing, learning a new genre, writing in a different genre, whatever it happens to be, you've got to decide, do I have the temperament for that? Do I have the skill set for that? Do I want to acquire the skill set for each aspect? Really, when it comes down to marketing and advertising, well, take marketing, for example.
Okay.
Marketing is a huge umbrella. There's a million ways you can market your books. You could go door to door and sell them by hand. You could go to conference like book fairs and sell them, face to face. You could try and get your books into indie bookstores. Now, I am not one of those people. I do not like to sell face to face. It's just not in my skill set, and I am okay with that. But I do find that it's much easier for me to market online. So I use newsletter advertising services, for example. I try to bank on using multiple of those at the same time to stack them. That way, they're kind of doing the marketing for me. So it's boosting my signal. So and then you can also participate in like collective marketing and advertising opportunities with other authors. It could be something like a box set with other authors, like an anthology. It could be something like what is it? Book funnel is one. A story origin is another one. Those are a couple of options. So online may work for some. Offline, maybe you're just gregarious and you love to chat and always want to chat up your books in person, and that's great. Make use of that. Use your strengths to your advantage. But yeah, when it comes to the drawbacks, there is a lot of stress involved in this industry. You will have good days and you will have bad days. You will have catastrophes and
Yes, we have certainly been there, have we not? We've had our share of catastrophes. I think too, Cheri, that having published both traditionally and published independently, I think that many of the same drawbacks apply to both. So you do still do your own marketing. Have to come into it with the editing already done. So I think that it really, there's not a tremendous amount of difference. And that's something to keep in mind, because I think some people feel like, oh, it'd just be so much easier with traditional publishing. And I think the only benefit there is the distribution. They have ways of distributing our books that we do not. Other than that, many of the same skills apply. So Cheri, we're talking not just about self-publishing, but being an independent author. And so what kind of outlook can keep you going as an indie author?
Yeah, there's actually several, I would say. I guess a temperament that really lends itself well to this industry. One is to stay resilient. It's really important to just roll with those punches because they will come. Just assume it. Just assume that you're going to have some bad days. And if you know that that's coming and you're not living in a la-la land and you're not always thinking positive, sometimes that's a detriment, honestly, because it will allow you to understand the realities of your business. And once you understand the truth, the actual truth, as opposed to, sipping champagne on a yacht,
the dreamy dreams, right?
with 8 billion novels sold or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. When you start out small and you temper your expectations and you start by learning and being open to learning, the only way you can go is up. Like, it's sort of like the stock market in a way, because you're going to have highs and lows, but you're going to be going upwards.
Okay.
Generally speaking, you're going in the upwards trajectory. And that's really comforting, honestly. But when you know that you're going to have to learn all the way through the process, every week you're going to be learning some new aspect, some new thing is going to come out, some new platform to sell on, or something of that nature. If you just assume that the only like thing you can expect is to change, then then it's fine. You're going to be fine. Everything is going to work out. You're just going to
And it does.
work with it,
It does.
what you've got, and learn what you don't, and keep moving forward, and keeping in mind what your goal has been all the way through. Like, step one, in a way, is, why do I want to write a novel? Why do I want to have an indie career? If you keep that in the back of your mind all the way through, it will help you on those low days, on those difficult days, on those days when you have a series that flops or something. And also, almost more important than anything else, don't compare yourself to anyone, ever, ever. And that means don't compare your skill set to anyone else's, and don't compare your journey to anyone else's. No one on earth can speak and say the things you need to say with your own voice. You are it. You're the only one on earth who can write the way you can write. And that's priceless. There's nothing like you on earth. You're unique. And that, in an age of AI, when basically AI can write novels in the style
supposedly.
Supposedly. There's nothing that's like you. It can't even approximate you. So comparing yourself to anyone else, it's just, of all the things that I've ever seen be a detriment to this career, it's comparisons. Because once you go down that road, it becomes this ugly green jealousy route, and it makes you quit. It makes you stop wanting to be motivated to work and put in the time and learn the skills that you need to learn to be successful. So yeah, for sure. If you take nothing else from what I'm saying, take that. Don't compare yourself.
I think that's a lot. So really, Cheri, is an act of courage. Because I will hearken back to when I first started out 40 years ago as a published author. Self-publishing was called vanity publishing. And the only people who self-published were the people who couldn't get a gig.
Right.
And I even remember being on teaching panels where that was said: if you can't get it published, then go back and work on it some more because it's not good enough. And that's just no longer the case. And yet there's still a little bit of stigma floating. And it does take a lot of courage to say, I am not going to go there. I'm not going to, as you said, compare myself to published authors. This is an act of courage, and it takes a lot of confidence. And I would love to circle back to what you talked about. So, Cheri, you said something about you can't write in a vacuum. You can't write all by yourself. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, for me personally, it's the camaraderie and being able to sort of sit in a room with others who are like-minded, who are doing what I do. There's something comforting about it, something that helps me focus. And when I'm working on something that complex, like in the case of my current series, which is 10 books, and I had to plot all of them at once, that is like brain breaking for me. And focus is a difficult issue for me in general, because hello, ADHD. So when I can find folks who are also ADHD, who also need to work together in the same room with me, we call that body doubling. Basically, it's a kind of, we feed off each other's creativity. There's so much to creativity that where you need to share, you need to take in, and you need to be with those folks who do similar work that you do, because they understand how difficult this work is, and how much brain intensive work you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. And
no one can understand that like another writer, right?
Exactly.
So, Cheri, you really model that, first of all, just by being here and being part of the Scribbling Women, as well as other groups that you're involved in. I think what you're modeling for us is that indie publishing is really an authentically freeing way of seeing yourself and your writerly life as something to be respected. It's a brave way forward. So thank you for sharing all of your knowledge. And there's so much more that we could talk about. And so if you want to know more about Cheri and what she knows, again, go to CheriLaSota.com or to authorsassembler.com. And she is, again, a part of the Scribbling Women, which you can learn more about at www.nancyroot.com. And there you will also find a blog post to parallel today's episode in case you want to sit and ponder it some more. So, Cheri, thank you again for being with us. And will you join me in telling everyone, scribble on?
Yes, scribble on. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Cheri.